To our clients, every single person represents the Golden Group standard. We strive every day to make your home's needs a priority because Golden Group invests in you and your communities. With unbeatable craftsmanship, customer satisfaction, reasonable pricing, Golden Group Roofing stands above the rest. Having been awarded GAF Master Lead Contractor, Certainty Select Shingle Master, and GAF Energy Certified Solar, Golden Group Roofing is 100% worthy of your investment. Experience the Golden Group difference, where hands protect what matters most. Visit us at goldengrouproofing.com or call us at 508-873-1884. 508-873-1884.
Hi, this is Brian Carpenter from One Worcester Homes. We're excited to offer the strongest buyer and seller representation throughout Worcester County and all the surrounding areas. Our agents are trained better and will look out for your best interest throughout the entire transaction. To reach out to One Worcester Homes, simply find us on Facebook, type in One Worcester Homes. We look forward to the opportunity to help you and your family in your home buying or selling transaction. And don't forget to join us the fourth Saturday of every month at 7:30 on Handling Change.
The following is a paid program. The opinions are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of the station or its management.
All right, folks, good morning and welcome actually to the second show of the Joe Mangiacotti Show for 2021 on the 3rd of January, 2021. Do you believe it? Here we go. We're off to another 52 weekends, 365 days. We're here every weekend from 6 to 8 o'clock in our 14th year of doing these shows on, well, first it was just Saturdays. And a year or so ago, we expanded to the Sundays, and here we are behind the glass. Cam. Hey, Cam. Good morning and Happy New Year to you, man.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Can I ask you, first of all, did you have a good New Year's? Quiet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice.
Did you do the everybody home, or did you go out?
No, we just stayed in. It was just my parents, my sister, her boyfriend, and me.
We did the Cotton Club at Union Station did New Year's Eve, but because of the Baker rules, right, they had to be 25% capacity, which meant only 40 people were allowed to go, and they did it only up till 10 o'clock. We had a 6 o'clock seating. They gave you a little bottle of champagne you could take home or you could do there. It was nice. It was nice, but it wasn't, if this was any other year like last year, it's packed. And if anyone's ever done Union Station on New Year's Eve, you know that they move out, that they take over the whole, station, not just the Cotton Club restaurant, and they go all the way out. So let me ask you, any resolutions for 2021? Did you do any last year? First, let me ask you, did you make any last year?
I've never been a big resolution guy.
Right. Well, I always felt you can do the resolution at any time during the year, right? If you need to improve something, say to yourself, I'm going to work on this. Are you going to make any for this year?
Thinking about it, I mean, if anything pops into my head, I might. But usually, like I said, if I really want to do something, the time of year won't make me do it,
Right, yeah. I always thought that about, my aunt said something to me once when I was a very little kid about, I think I asked her about Christmas, what do you want for Christmas? What are you going to do? Or your birthday? I forget what it was. And she said to me, it doesn't matter. She goes, if I need a coat, I'll buy a coat. She says, I don't have to wait for Christmas, or I don't have to wait for my birthday for it. But anyway, let me ask you this. Winners and losers of 2020. Who would you say are winners of 2020? Now, this can be taken one of two ways, right? You can look at this and say the winners of like who did a really good job, who should we recognize in 2020, or the winners are like Jeff Bezos because his net worth went up $80 billion.
That's what I was going to say. All these billionaires made a ton of money off this pandemic.
Yeah, so they're winners, but I look at it, so when that winner, yeah, the Bezos of the world, the Microsoft, Bill Gates, any of these online companies, right? Zoom and Skype and even the anything online, won over the 2020 year. But I'm saying the winners would be medical personnel, right? The frontline people, even grocery workers.
For sure.
Right? Those are the winners. Those are the heroes. They're out there. The warp speed scientists, right? The president for creating warp speed and cutting all the bureaucracy, but he not only did this for this vaccine, but this created a new way of doing it. Everything can be accelerated now. We had a guy go to Washington who said, "Why does this have to take so long to do everything? Right? Why do we have to go to lunch for 4 hours and get nothing accomplished?" It just that's the private sector being plugged into the public sector mentality. Losers for 2020. Who would you count as the losers?
Everybody.
Yeah. Well, again, if we go from the Jeff Bezos matrix of it,
especially small businesses.
Yeah, small businesses were the losers right across the board. They initially they played by the rules, right? They absolutely played by the rules. They did what they were told. They shut down when we were told you got to shut down for X amount of time. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars of their savings, or they borrowed it and they invested into plexiglass, in cleaning instruments, and reorganizing the shape of the restaurant, building outside eating areas, adding. In the Old Joe segment, we did a story on this, right? Because they spent all the money on the outside, like building planters and natural barriers to create, even adding different furniture, because typically outside furniture isn't comfortable, right? So they created comfortable furniture. And then another trend was blankets. They were giving you blankets and pillows became at the higher end restaurants to make outdoor dining more comfortable. So they did all this. And then the goalpost gets changed again. And they continue to do this to restaurants. So the losers of 2020 absolutely are the small businesses, but also us, the individuals that lost, especially those of us that lost our jobs, or may not lost the job, but the ability to go to work, to be able to go to work. A lot of us, we're able to continue, or we were able to work from home. If you're in the public sector, right, you didn't feel any of this. I mean, your paycheck continued to roll right in, and then you were told to stay home. In a lot of these jobs, you were told to stay home. You can't work from home, so that meant you were just on paid vacation for months. And those that could work from home did so at a much relaxed style, yet the paycheck didn't suffer one bit, which always brings us into the conversation and the debate around these stimulus packets. I should do housekeeping, right? I didn't really do that. So, again, Joe Mangiacotti Show. Join us by telephone. You can join the conversation for two-way talk anytime you want. Reach into the studio for conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. We do have a text line that's up and running. If you want to text in real time while we're on the air, you can do that at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. If you don't have a device, your phone isn't in front of you, but you have a tablet or a computer, you can email Text Joe on the Radio at gmail.com. One word, Text Joe on the Radio at gmail.com. It appears on the same screen. You find us on all of our social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, MANGI, Joe Mangi Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course now Parler, Cam. Right? Parler's become, are you on Parler yet?
I'm not. Okay,
so Parler, absolutely. I mean, it was there before the election, but it shot up like a rocket after the election.
I like the concept of it.
What do you like about it?
Well, it's they don't moderate any of their posts, right?
Right. It's different. They moderate it, but they don't moderate it like Twitter. There's a committee, and in other words, if you come on inciting some weird stuff or really violence, you will get they vote on it and they put you down. But they're not going to censor your freedom of speech. And this is, when did expression or your freedom of speech come? As long as it's what I agree with. And that's what's happened now. As long as your speech falls within what Jack Dorsey or Zuckerberg decides is acceptable, then that's the only time you get free speech. Whole nother conversation to have. Point is, that's our housekeeping. Our phone number, 508-871-7000. You can reach the show when we're not on the air. We do have an email for that. And you can use JoeMShow @gmail.com. A lot of people use the Messenger app on our Facebook. That's fine. It's good also because you can send pictures and documents through that as well, so that's fine. We do have a show number. We've had this since like 2007 or something. 508-603-9778. 508-603-9778 if you want to reach the show off here. All right. Getting back to losers, again, small businesses, restaurants, we, the individuals, also losers because we saw our freedoms kind of eroded with no real scientific explanation. If one thing, and I was talking about this yesterday, Camus, I don't know if you caught it because it was early. If you don't have to get up, I doubt you are getting up that early. But 2020 was a red pill year for us, right? And I'm using a Matrix reference here. And the red pill has exposed, and it was like Donald Trump ripped the curtain back and showed a lot of us the swamp that we knew it was swampy. I don't think we knew just how swampy it was. And that's been exposed to us. And we've seen that a lot of these governors and representatives and senators are not only, brighter than we are, but a lot of them are a little duller than we hope we would have in those positions of power. And we see this with governors who are making rules and trampling on our rights and our freedoms without scientific explanation. They use that as the excuse. But also what's been exposed in this red pill year is the lack of experts being experts. And by the virtue of just holding on to a job for enough time, do you become an expert, right? We've got Fauci, Dr. Fauci, making decisions, and he's never been elected. He answers to nobody, but he's the all and be all, end all of what it is that we have to do. I'm not sure I understand that. I understand that, he should be, him and Dr. Braxton and other doctors and experts and virologists should be offering up their opinions and expertise. But the decision should be coming from those we can hold accountable. And then we've got somebody like Governor Cuomo who just ignores the damage he's done and gives himself credit, pats himself on the back all the time, right? He did a wonderful thing. He writes a book during this time. Yet he was so petrified that he'd have hospitals overrun, and he asked for help from the president, and the president gave it to him right away, right? Comfort ship, 1,000 beds, built the hospitals in the park, never used them. But he sent COVID-infected elderly into elderly housing and is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths for that. And he just doesn't take that responsibility whatsoever. Doesn't take it. So we have a lot of losers in 2020, Cam, and there's a lot of winners. Predictions? Any predictions you want to go on record for down the third day of January?
Another 9 months of misery.
9 months?
That's, I think, my guess altogether. Before we start to really kind of open up.
So you think we'll have basically the term of a baby before we're delivered into freedom again? And 6 to 9. 6 to 9.
I'm hopeful for by 6 months, maybe. I'm thinking when's the next time I can go to a concert, a Bruins game, something like that. That'll be the milestone that I'm looking for some
when
sort of
you can go
normalcy.
to a concert unrestricted.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you don't think we will be mask wearing and 25 or 50% capacity at Christmas next year?
Not sure.
Not sure. But you're hoping.
Yeah, I'm really hoping.
Do you? What are the things you think we'll see change? Will we be wearing masks forever? Will this become a normal thing? Part of our attire?
I don't think so. I'm maybe a year, 2 years, you'll still see people doing it. I'm sure going forward, you'll see a lot more people wearing it. There are going to be some people who wear it all the time.
Because the flu was basically non-existent this year, right? Because of all the hand washing, the social distancing, mask wearing. I mean, the flu didn't have a chance this year, right? What about handshaking?
I think people are going to be more hesitant for it.
Right.
But then again, there's some people that, it still feels natural to most people when you meet somebody to stick your hand out.
I think you might see it in in serious business meetings, but I think in social circles, I think you'll see it die off a little bit.
The fist bump is kind of
has replaced elbow and fist bumps have become kind of a norm, which is fine. And I think of who is it? Well, both Seinfeld and Howie Mandel, right? Huge germaphobe. He did away with the handshaking a long time ago. Also, David there, the creator of Seinfeld, right? Larry David, not big on the handshaking. So these are guys ahead of their time, which never. But you remember they were in an industry, right? Everybody wanted to touch them when they met them, right? So you figure they probably had a higher exposure of sweaty, clammy hands stuffed into their hands more than you and I probably do, right? And they got fed up with it earlier than the rest of us. So I think the handshaking might be a bygone of it. Work situation, far more, people will be remotely working, right? Businesses have started to realize, we don't need as much brick and mortar. We don't have to have this much commercial space. If our employees can do these jobs from their home office or even from another location, in their community or whatever, as long as they've got the internet and we can talk to them, and that's the other part of it is. And we had, I don't know if you remember, it was you were producing the day I had Deborah Drew on, who did her master's thesis just on this. And she talked about this. And one of the aspects of remote working is retraining management. Because management's been trained to manage their teams in cubicles and offices on location. So they've got to be retrained. Management level of the corporate America needs to be retrained to manage remote workers. It's a different process and a style. So they have to be trained for that. And then, just how you do things will be changed. But I think that will be a huge change that will come out of this, will be that. When we talk about the online companies that did well, you have to remember, though, right? All these little businesses that got pushed out of business and just rolled over, when you click that button, that's not a magic button, right? When you click that, things happen. There's still going to be pickers in a warehouse filling those orders, right? Putting them onto those automated machines that take it to the loading dock, and somebody has to put it from that onto the truck, and somebody has to drive the truck to another distribution area. Then it goes out to smaller trucks, and somebody has to walk up to your door, ring the bell, and put it on your porch. So, people still are working and have to work. And we've seen malls, right? A lot of these malls that the stores have closed out, and companies like Amazon are coming along and scooping up that real estate and making them distribution centers and using them. So that magic button, don't think you're not saving you're saving somebody from interacting with you directly, but you're not stopping somebody having to go to work and still interact. So anyway, just keep that in mind. I just liken it to when people say, "Oh, electric car, they're clean and they're wonderful," but where do you think the electricity comes from? Right, it had to came from a coal plant, probably. So it's not that clean because the coal plant had to produce the electricity that you could plug your car into. So it's not that clean. It's clean. The car itself is clean. If you could magically put electricity into it, and you say, well, solar. Well, we don't have the technology of instantaneous, solar power, and then you got to depend on the weather and all that goes with it. Anyway, 20 minutes after the hour in the Joe Mangiacotti Show, Sunday edition here at 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me jump to the phones. Joel's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Joel. You look marvelous. Welcome back to the second show, third day of the new year. Let me ask you, Joel.
Yeah.
Any resolutions for 2021?
I don't deal in risk. No, Joe, I don't go into risk.
You didn't make one last year. It's not something you do. No.
I used to when I was younger, not anymore.
Right. Well, I always did it I didn't do them as a serious thing, like let me write it down and put it on my mirror in the bathroom. At the New Year's Eve party, I'd get into the fun of it and come up with one for the fun of it, but I would also do the tarot cards or the psychic if I was at a party too.
Oh, really? You got into the Ouija boards when you were younger?
Well, no, I would, if it was a party and they were doing it, I would go along with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I would go along with the resolution. I would join in the party, but I wouldn't be holding myself to that resolution or taking it serious. I would, like Cam was saying earlier, if I feel that I need to work on something, I don't have to wait till January 1 to say, I'm gonna work on this on myself. I'm gonna make this a better year. I'm going to try to eat more vegetables or exercise more. You don't have to wait till January 1 to say that to yourself, do you?
Well, no, but in your particular case, I don't know why you would have to do that, because I thought you were perfect.
See, he gets it. He gets it, Cam. He understands why this is a waste of my time. Finally. Man, thank you, Joe, for seeing
perfect.
That. The other part, let me ask you this.
Improvement.
Absolutely.
No need of improvement.
Joe, the check's in the mail, man.
Oh, forget about it.
All right. This is
forget about it. But, Joe, there's one thing that bothers me, and that's the...
One?
Well, a lot of things. But the COVID-19 deniers, if I can put it that way on the air.
Yeah, but aren't there two levels of deniers, right? There's those people that deny the virus, which I can't even understand that. But then there's the level of people who feel that the virus has been manipulated into, a hoax of how bad it is and using it to cause power grabs, right? So which one are you talking about? The people who absolutely deny the virus exists, or the ones who think there's more to it?
I'm talking about the people who deny that the government, state government should have shut down.
Okay.
Going back to late winter, early spring. I mean, if the states didn't shut down, Joe, look at California right now. They're in a serious situation out there.
Well, let me
bad
this, Joe.
Situation in California.
So New Zealand came out very quickly. They shut down hard and fast.
Yes,
and you know what their death rate is? 25 people.
Well, I understand, but we're talking about an island here, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying New Zealand was
really
there because they're already isolated, right? So they shut down travel in, travel out, people in your homes, businesses. They shut down, bang, for like 2 weeks, like you under house arrest type of shutdown. Right. And what they have to show for it is only 25 deaths.
Exactly. But look, the way I look at it, if we didn't shut down across America, millions and millions would be dead by now. I really believe that, Joe.
Well, what about now closing all these restaurants when the accepted rate is 1.4% tied back to restaurants. And
right, here in Massachusetts, I believe.
Yeah, and yet we see the numbers much higher for these big social gatherings, but you got governors like Cuomo allowing, as long as they're the right type of gathering to happen, then that's okay. But the restaurant, and I don't think too many more businesses than restaurant owners have gone through and taken it as serious, because every restaurant I have been to lately, and I didn't go to any restaurants for months, by the way, as all of us, right? I did a lot of takeout. I did the takeout and the delivery when that's what they were allowed to do to try to support my local businesses, right? But I've started to go to restaurants lately, and every restaurant I've gone to they're totally reconfigured with the distance between the tables, plexiglass, either suspended from the ceiling or dividers built between the tables. The wait staff is totally, either full face mask or the plastic shields they're doing now. Yeah. They even was it the 99 or something? They created these little things you put at the end of your table. If you want the wait person to go over, you put the green out.
Yep.
If you don't need them, you leave the red out. So they don't even mistakenly come over to ask you if you need anything. Right. They even cut out that. So I think restaurants have done an incredible job of following the guidelines and the rules and investing their own money into making it as COVID friendly as you can. Yet they seem to take the brunt of the accusation when they have the lowest number of traceable cases back to them. And that's just not fair. They're doing it right. And
Sure.
if you have to wear the mask, and you do have to wear, I mean, you can't. I went out, New Year's Eve. I went out right before Christmas. In between, you have to wear your mask to get to your table. The entire wait staff is masked up, and all those precautions I just laid out. So I think that restaurants are getting treated unfairly. I think that they're...
Joe, especially small businesses. I mean, the Small Business Administration, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I told I think I told you, another talk show host on your station, I mean, the government, the Fed should have given these businesses money over these past, 10, 11 months.
I agree. I'm not a big guy for public handouts. I think
I know
that.
you're not. However, because your politics is somewhat different than mine.
Right.
We always agree. I have no problem.
However, right, when the government changes the rules on you and orders you down, there's responsibility there.
But Joe,
you have to give them some money. You have to give them a bailout. You have to give them a lifeline. You can't take someone's life work and all those jobs and just wipe it with a signature of a pen or a swipe of a hand without some kind of compensation. I mean, we have eminent domain in this country, don't we, Joe? Right? If we take your property. If we take your property, we have to give you the market value because we need to build that railroad or we got to build that beetle back. We give you, if we take your business, and this is taking a business away, right, no matter how you cut it, we have to compensate those businesses, either make them whole or give them the ability to survive until they can do it on their own again.
Well, see, but the thing we forget about, if I could say it in a nice way, because it's early in the morning, no time to yell on the radio. It's way too early, right?
I agree.
The fact is, Joe, the second, third, or fourth quarter of 2020, the private sector did, they had record profits in this country, Joe. And that's what, a lot of your callers never mention when they call in. The corporate sector, it's made out like they made a killing during, I don't want to be,
all right, Joe, I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that. But the thing about that is, and this is probably where we divide on this, is businesses, when they make a profit, I'm okay with that because that's the whole process. So that's the whole thing of capitalism is those people took all the risk and all the responsibility to get the business up and running. They deserve the rewards when they happen. That's capitalism. That's how that works.
So what you're telling me then is so you totally believe in the free market, right?
Yeah,
You're a free market guy.
I'm a free market guy.
I know you are.
With
I didn't even have to ask you, did I?
With the government providing a level playing field and fairness. That's what the government's role is to, and that's why we have antitrust laws and racketeering laws, and that's why we have those laws to make sure that no criminal element comes into the fair market system and unfairly corrupts the market. So we have to ensure a level playing field. But we got like 10 seconds, Joe, before we get a break, so go ahead.
I think the worst type of crime in our country is white-collar crime. That is the worst type of crime.
And it doesn't get treated the way it should be, by the way. It doesn't. White-collar criminals don't get treated, there's no difference. It's actually worse when you bulk billions of dollars out of people than it is just, going in and saying, hey, give me your money. Although the gun part of it does change it all. But Joe, thank you for the call. I got to break him against the clock. We're going to check in. I think we got to find a forever home for Teddy's friends. So we'll see if we can find another deserving animal, their very own human. And we'll be back after this break on the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Stick with us.
This is Sean Burke, president of the Licensed Private Detectives Association of Massachusetts, asking you to visit us at lpdam.org when you think you need a private investigator. Don't let your emotions negatively affect your future. Get your answers through a Massachusetts licensed private investigator. Get the facts without risking your credibility by unknowingly committing a criminal offense. You need a license to perform investigations in Massachusetts. What are some types of work that requires a license? Any type of surveillance, interviewing someone for a third party, background and asset checks, are just a few examples. For more on this, visit us at lpdm.org and tune into AM 830 WCRN Sunday mornings at 7:30 for case files from the LPDM or anytime at lpdmcasefiles.com.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877-DRIVE-ED. Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click Levante'sAutoschool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877-DRIVE-ED.
Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
It's time to go out with Joe.
Welcome to this edition of Out with Joe, brought to you by Nothing But Cakes in White City Plaza in Shrewsbury. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. And this week, we're going to talk about Boston and other communities because they are rolling back on their reopening plans. We thought that was important that you know that. Mayor Marty Walsh announced on Monday this past week that Boston and other nearby communities will roll back reopening protocols in an effort to stem rising coronavirus case counts and shut down certain venues, from gyms and museums to movie theaters and event spaces. The mayor says that after 3 weeks, we will then reevaluate the situation to see where we are with the virus in the city of Boston. So here's what will be impacted for at least 3 weeks, starting this past Wednesday the 16th. What will close: movie theaters, museums, and aquariums, gyms and indoor fitness centers, including those using alternative spaces. Now, one-on-one personal training sessions are still allowed. Indoor recreational and athletic facilities, centers for youth ages 18 and under, collegiate and professional sports, and indoor pools that require pre-registration and are limited to 1 person per swim, they're all exempt. Sightseeing and organized tours will be closed. Indoor historical spaces and sites as well. Indoor recreational venues with potential for low contact, such as driving ranges, bowling alleys, rock climbing facilities, and even batting cages will be closed. Also, indoor event spaces, including private party rooms, social clubs, meeting rooms, and ballrooms. Now, private social clubs may continue to operate, and if they serve food, they have to be consistent with the restaurant guidance. Indoor and outdoor gaming arcades that are associated with gaming devices also closed. Now, what can remain open, but with the new restrictions, indoor dining is allowed. However, a 90-minute limit on seatings will be strictly enforced, and bar seating is prohibited unless a restaurant receives approval from Boston Licensing Board. Pool tables, darts, trivia games, and other activities that are fun are prohibited. The Fuhrer does not like fun. Office spaces are capped at 40% capacity. Non-athletic indoor instructional classes for people at least 18 years old must adhere to the 10-person capacity limit. Also, outdoor theaters and performance venues, along with outdoor event spaces used for celebrations and gatherings, and those that are not designated in Phase 4 can operate with a 25-person capacity limit. Also, television, motion picture, and streaming productions can continue. So these are the restrictions and how we will be operating for a 3-week period starting this past Wednesday, December 16th. For a complete list and more details, check for this post on outwithjoe.com. The boston.com article is posted there, and you can pull this information from that article. Again, look for this post. We are suspending the Music Minute with Tina Marie Billing for obvious reasons, but don't forget to support your local musicians. We do. For more dining and entertainment, click outwithjoe.com and follow us on social media at Out With Joe. Out With Joe has been brought to you by Nothing But Cakes in White City Plaza in Shrewsbury, on Facebook at Nothing But Cakes Shrewsbury. Have you heard of the hottest new bakery around? I know you heard about it right here. My friend Al has opened Nothing But Cake in the White City Plaza in Shrewsbury. Nothing But Cake is a bakery chain and is locally owned and operated by my friend Al. They have bundt cakes ranging from bite-sized to tiered, plus platters, candles, and cards. For any occasion, function, or just to have around the house or office, stop by and check them out. Everything is baked from scratch and on site. Nothing beats a sweet surprise. And until you try one of Al's bundt cakes, you haven't tried a real bundt cake. Stop by and ask for Al. Tell him Joe told you to stop by. 98 Boston Turnpike, White City Plaza near Planet Fitness, Shrewsbury, and on Facebook as well, Nothing But Cake Shrewsbury.
To join the conversation, call 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Now, here's your host, Joe Mangiacotti.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the first hour of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN, as well as our affiliate stations. Don't forget, you can tell Alexa, play WCRN. She'll do that. You can also listen to us live streaming on the TuneIn app. If you don't have the TuneIn app, take seconds to download it onto your device. Punch in WCRN, take us anywhere. And we're also live streaming on our Facebook page. Yes, there's a camera in the corner of the studio. That's fine. But the point is the audio is there at Joe Mangi on Facebook. And that is our handle for all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and now Parler. Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. We still have a lot to talk about, but let me jump to the phones because Ken from Bolton has been waiting patiently. And first of all, let me say Happy New Year to you, Ken, and happy holidays. It's been a little while. I hope all is well.
Same to you, Joe.
Marvelous. Any, first of all, how were the holidays? Everything good?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And
making it through, but the big topic that we've been dealing with for more than 9 months is COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
So unfortunately, that's kind of distracted my attention, and usually what I call up about in the few times I have the opportunity.
Right. And,
so
and didn't you have somebody close to you come down with COVID?
Well, I didn't talk about that. Maybe that's part of the reason. My mother was 96. She was in assisted living, and that was the last straw.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
it's always tough to hear.
I'm not going to suggest, like others, that are far more tragic and much younger. And she lived a good and long life.
Right.
And we're very thankful for all the time we had with her.
Fantastic. Well, here we are in a new year, and things are looking better because of the vaccines that are coming out. And it seems almost every few days we hear some good news about the vaccines, even though we've heard now about this strain, right, that has veered off. And not that it's more deadly, but it's more contagious, so that its ability to spread quicker and wider range is there. But at least we have, and these are the initial reports, right, that we're being told that the vaccine still treats it. It's still the same effectiveness of the new strain. It's just that this new strain is easier to, it gets around faster.
Yeah, and the vaccine is the primary weapon that we have that will get us past this. But I thought I don't know if you are familiar with Dr. Drew.
Yeah. The guy with the show.
Yeah. He tested positive the day before Christmas. And it's interesting in that it gives him the opportunity of describing, how he's dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the weapons in our arsenal is monoclonal antibodies. I think we all heard that when President Trump was infected, one of the things that he was treated with Regeneron.
Yep.
And it would seem that one of our primary objectives is to stay out of the hospital if we get it, because that's the biggest threat is the hospitals being overwhelmed.
Yeah. Although the other side of that, Ken, right, has been people who should be going to the doctors or the hospital are so afraid that they've caused more damage. I mean, I've read the story about the woman, she broke her leg and was so afraid of going to the hospital to contract it that they had to amputate the leg. We have people who aren't getting the cancer screenings they should. So there has to be a balance, folks, that you can't put other health problems and ignore them because your fear of the hospital. In other words, that can do more damage. So that you got to balance that. You shouldn't be afraid to address things like broken legs or pains that, a pain is what? What is pain? Pain is your body telling you something's wrong. And you can't ignore that. And I know you might be afraid of going to the hospital, but you have to kind of use some common sense, Ken. There's got to be a point where you're like, me not going to the hospital could be far more damaging than me going to the hospital, or dangerous, not seeking medical help. And
absolutely,
and that's something where I think you've got to apply some common sense. And unfortunately, the fear-mongering that has gone on with this virus, it's almost as if they want to scare the bejesus out of us. I don't know if it's a ratings thing or political reasons, but by no means should we take this lightly and think that this isn't. It has the ability to kill. It has killed we're at 1 million people worldwide or something. So don't take that lightly, but don't ignore your other medical issues either.
Yes, we have a lot to. So on this particular monoclonal, it has a long name that starts with Barmazidable or something like that.
Yeah,
which is an Eli Lilly product, and also there's the Regeneron, which I guess there's two different products. But how this is offered is you can go to your doctor or clinic and get it by IV and go back home.
Yeah, you know, the other thing, Ken, right? Now it's okay to talk about hydrochloroquine. I mean, that was like taboo. If you actually mentioned hydrochloroquine back a few months ago, Twitter and Facebook would censor you on it because the president said it. But now doctors are saying, hey, this simple hydrochloroquine that we've had around for 60 years is actually a good preventative and it's a good treatment. Now we're allowed to say it. Now, to me,
you can say it, but good luck getting a prescription.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that now it's becoming an acceptable alternative or an acceptable choice now. Now, I don't know if that's because they think the president's on his way out and he's not going to get credit for it anymore. But, I mean, to have suppressed the talk, even the talk, not even yes, and they weren't allowing doctors to prescribe it because the president said it was a good choice. The politics of that was sick.
Unfortunately, there are restrictions where if you go through your typical insurance-based doctor, you probably won't be able to get prescribed because it's not on the CDC or NIH list of prescribed medicines. So that's why I bring up this other alternative, because this is allowed. And from the experience that Dr. Drew's getting, it's probably more powerful than HEQ. Ivermectin, as I've called before, is our best treatment outside of hospitals. But it, too, has restrictions. So here's something that doesn't have restrictions and just have to ask for it. And most all insurances provide for it. And it seems to be very powerful in that it is done through IV, but it's on an outpatient basis. And those like Dr. Drew that have taken it feel the effect almost immediately.
That's good stuff to know. That's good. You've obviously, have really read up on a lot of this and been following it with your mother's situation, and just being a curious intellectual guy. You've read into this stuff and have probably a better understanding than a lot of us do on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just so many restrictions that if you don't get up to speed, because there are vitamins and the like I've talked about in the past.
Right.
But there's so many things that can lower your risk.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think throughout much of our lives, we just simply say, well, if I have a problem, I'll go to a doctor. And the doctor knows best. And generally, they do know best. But part of this show is digging up corruption and all the problems with government. And unfortunately, that has interfered with the best treatment. And literally, there are people living a much lesser life that are getting better treatment, bizarrely enough. So for instance, there aren't outbreaks in Africa. There are many places in Asia and South America that are getting the treatments that we're not getting because government's blocking it because the powers that be don't want it to happen.
And that was my point earlier, that it's the politics of it that actually damage and hurt people. It's very disgusting. Even from the example of the hydrochloroquine not only weren't you able to speak about it, but a doctor wasn't allowed. There were doctors, if you remember back in the beginning of this, lost their jobs for prescribing it. And that was all political. And we see that carried over now, Ken, right? Because we've got governors who are making what appears to be, and again, I go back to the curtain's been pulled back and the red pill's been taken, that they're there's no science to their decision-making process. There's no facts to back up their decisions on what can open and what can't open. And they'd say that can't open, but that one can because they're entertainers, or I know them, or it's a political, or I agree with that protest, so we're not going to do anything about it. But I don't agree with that protest, so now you're not allowed to get together.
It makes you wonder, because our structure of government is designed so that if we have a situation as we're going through a pandemic, it loads a ton of responsibility onto the governors. Now, it's not supposed to be just the governors, but by default, the state legislators have just said, okay, you governor, do what you have to do. And makes you wonder if changes to our form of government are necessary to avoid this trap where we are held hostage by our governors.
Well, Ken, I think that we have seen this issue I'm going to just talk about right now, right? The legislature, and I'm talking about state legislatures as well as our congressional delegation of congressmen and senators, seem to shirk their responsibilities. They don't want to be the ones making these hard choices and getting blamed for it. We see it here in Massachusetts, where they want to pass these gas taxes or taxes that are built into the cost of living or an index, so they automatically go up and they never have to defend their vote again. We've seen the Congress and the Senate, kind of try to push things on to the Supreme Court so they make the decisions and handle it. It's almost as if they want all of the good that goes with that job, but they don't really want to have to make anything that they have to stand and defend. And we see it on the state level, and we see it on the federal level happening. And that's sad. We saw it, with even the election process, where they allowed secretaries of states and governors to change what the Constitution says only the state legislature can do. And they are okay with leaving it to courts to handle it. And I think that's something that we, the people, have to stop that. We have to call our legislators and elected officials back on the carpet and say that we are a republic, Democrat, representative republic here. We elect you to do our business, and you're shirking your responsibility, and you're not doing a good job of it. And how much can we change it? I don't know if we have to change our government. I just think everybody has to start doing what their role is, how our founding fathers set up our government. We've allowed our elected officials to kind of rewrite their role.
Yep, and Joe, on that topic, just going with what you're describing, this is somewhat rumor. I don't know how much truth there is. But have you followed some of what they're saying that the Supreme Court back and forth discussion was on the various states' challenges to the vote? That Chief Justice Roberts was threatening the Trump appointees that if you don't just let it pass, that there's going to be riots.
Well, that's always been that's the scary part of this, Ken.
Chief Howard, not Chief Justice.
Absolutely, but hasn't that been the whole Antifa crowd and everything threatening us? Look at before the election, all the boarding up and everything in case Trump won, and we have officials saying, "Oh, okay, we don't want riots and we don't want to be targeted." I mean, we saw district attorneys, right, in that whether the self-defense case, the Kyle Rittenhouse case, when they went after them at their homes and so forth, they decided to file charges. And we've seen public officials get bullied into doing what a certain segment of the populace of the political parties wanted. And that is a scary aspect of it, because who's going to put down their foot? Trump has been trying to do that and say law and order. You cannot bully our government into doing what you want. That's not the system. And to heck with the consequences, and you have to face the consequences if you are that bully. There's a point here where you're allowed to protest, but when you start using coercion and basically racketeering, I mean, we have laws for this, to alter people's behavior into doing it the way you want it, that's not freedom of speech anymore. That's not freedom of speech. You've gone over you've crossed the line.
Well, effectively, we've got to the situation because we have powerful people who have been part of the swamp so long.
Mm-hmm.
And, Roberts is an example, and we now have a president that's coming in that's been there 50 years. We have Pelosi in her 80s. I mean, go on and on and on.
Who couldn't make president 2 times before because of his lying and cheating and plagiarism and, quite frankly, lack of intelligence. And now he's been selected as the person to get over the line, and we know what's going to happen. He's never going to finish his first term. He's already said he's a one-term president. He's not going to even do a one-term. This is. I firmly believe this is orchestrated in order for Kamala Harris to occupy the Oval Office at some point. Period. Stop.
That's entirely possible. I'm not quite the skeptic to think that it's going to happen within months, barring some event of health for the coming.
Well, isn't the health aspect kind of already built in? I mean, is it much of a push to say he's lost his, ability to govern? I mean, he's kind of there already, and they're just kind of hiding it. Well, and I mean Pelosi's whole 25th Amendment, that wasn't for Trump. She was setting that up to use on Biden.
I'm not quite that skeptical because I think if literally they were to apply that to their own, that itself would damage the party. So while there might be logic to that, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think that. Let's assuming everything goes. Joe makes it to the 20th. He gets sworn in as president. What do you think? I don't think he goes beyond 2 years.
That's entirely possible, but I think there'd be other events that would trigger it.
Yeah.
In other words, I think the most likely outcome is he himself resigns.
Yeah. Oh, he will. He already said that in an interview, right? Oh, like Barack Obama. If we disagree, I'll develop some illness and leave. I mean, those are his words. We're not making. That's not conjecture. I'm not putting words. Those are Joe Biden's words. I have the audio clip somewhere in the computer of him saying that in an interview. But Ken, we're running against the clock here, and I got other calls, so I'm going to have to let you go. Give you a last word if you have something.
No. Look forward to listening to the other callers.
All right. Awesome, Ken. Thank you so much again. Happy New Year. All right, folks. Joe Mangiacotti Show in the first hour here. We'll continue until 8 o'clock, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Rich, thank you for holding and waiting patiently. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of Royal Raymond Rife. He was an inventor and stuff like that, and he used to check out viruses, and he's the one that found the virus for cancer. And what he did, he invented an electrical sound machine where he could, if you came in with pancreatic cancer and stuff like that, he would dial it up and he could get rid of pancreatic cancer. He could get rid of all kinds of cancer.
Sonic, right? The vibration splitting up the cell.
Yes, vibrations, exactly. Because what cancer cell is, it's crystalline. Did you ever see on TV, like, say, you get Memorex and somebody raises their voice and all of a sudden the glass shatters?
Those commercials, yeah.
Yeah, well, they can. He did the same thing with the virus, the cancer virus. But anyways, with the electron microscope that he invented, all right, he found that he could see viruses that were so minute it was unbelievable, right? And the COVID virus is so minute that when you have the mask on, it's like having a chain link fence in front of your face, Joe, trying to stop a mosquito from going through.
Yeah. These
masks do not work.
Well, right? Rich, this is why I'm saying that when I said the red pill year here, we're looking at we've realized that the experts aren't always right, and we can't always, because first we were told the masks don't work, then we're told to wear the mask, then they don't really work as well as you think they do, so you got to do these other things. And then Dr. Fauci admits that he lied to us about masks because he didn't want us to go out and buy the masks. So now that kind of undercut his own authority and credibility at that point. And now, aren't we all? We were already questioning our government officials, but now we're questioning every government official and every supposed expert because
but they're out there, Joe, going to all these functions like the French Laundry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Newsom. And they're all out there with masks. They're out there. They have medical staffs that are on the state payroll. They're out there without masks. But yet they have the audacity to tell you, me, and all the other listeners out there that we have to wear a mask that don't work. Wow. Why? It's control.
Yes.
They want to control us, and they have to control us, because if they don't, then we might have a revolution here, Joe. Am I right or wrong on that part?
I think that they're going to bring the revolution on themselves because they are doing this, the good for thee, not for me type of mentality going on here. And there's only so much that we can take of that because people are getting hungry, and I mean that in both the literal sense, but also we've forced people into the poorhouse. We've shut their businesses down.
Of course they have. Sure.
We've ruined their dreams. We're affecting their family and their ability to feed their family. And for most of us,
the other thing too is the CDC, Joe. The CDC. What a lot of people don't understand, it's not a government agency. The CDC is a for-private corporation where they make money. And if you go to their website, they actually have like some of the viruses that they hold the patents for. And the other thing, real quick, how bad this is that everybody comes out, the CDC, and said, well, smallpox it's been eradicated. It's all gone. It's done, right? No. You know how they did it? They changed the name. It's no longer smallpox. It's called monkeypox. You can go online, check it out. Monkeypox is going rampant over there in Africa and all over in Asia and stuff like that. What they do, Joe, they lie to us. They've been doing that for umpteen years, Joe.
Yeah.
We have to understand. I just, I'm at the point where I just can't understand what the hell our leaders are doing to us. And the thing that ticks me off, they're going to give people $600. Where the hell are you going to go with $600, Joe, when an illegal alien will get $1,800? Do you think that's fair?
Well, look, and I think this is part of the problem. One of the things the president was trying to point out is don't send me a bill for $600. Send me a bill for $2,000 and stop giving $10 million to Iran for gender studies or koi fish and the count fish, or it doesn't matter. What is all? Yeah. Why does this bill have millions and millions of dollars going out to foreign nations?
Billions, Joe.
Billions of dollars going out to other nations when we have people who have lost their businesses, losing their house. In this situation, it doesn't make sense, and that's what the president was saying. No. What is wrong with you, Nancy Pelosi? Then first she admits that she wouldn't let the deal happen back when the people really needed the money because she didn't want Trump to look like he got a win. And now she straight out says, now that we got a new president, this can go through. And then they still offer up this horrible bill.
$600.
This shouldn't be, look, a COVID relief bill or stimulus, whatever you want to call it, but to deal with the COVID situation should deal with the COVID situation, and that's the only money that should be in that bill, and nothing else should be attached to it. And shame on any congressional or senator who did that. We're against the clock. We've got 20 seconds. So, Rich, I got to say, you're welcome to, because we cut you short, you're welcome to come back in the second hour. But I have to cut you off here because I can't control the time. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show, AM 830 WCRN. Stick with us, folks.
WACE Chicopee and WCRN Worcester.
7 o'clock. Hey, folks, Joe Mangiacotti from the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Reminding you, talk radio is the immune system to the partisan, bias, political rhetoric attacking us on a daily basis. Get inoculated. The Joe Mangiacotti Show is your vaccine. Join me weekend mornings, 6 to 8.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Teddy. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around around the office, and they let me know. They now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they could cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like any other family member, and as well as I do Teddy. The professional staff at Cantiani's has been providing courteous service for over 40 years, with integrity and personalized service, making sure that your insurance actually protects you and your family. With 2 locations, the 318 Plantation Street in Worcester and East Douglas Insurance Agency, located at 306 Main Street in Douglas. For home, auto, business insurance, and now pet insurance, click CantianiAgency.com or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
Golden Group Roofing is a community brand. From our Master Lead roofers and industry partners to our clients, every single person represents the Golden Group standard. We strive every day to make your home's needs a priority because Golden Group invests in you and your communities. With unbeatable craftsmanship, customer satisfaction, reasonable pricing, Golden Group Roofing stands above the rest. Having been awarded GAF Master Lead Contractor, Certainty Select Shingle Master, and GAF Energy Certified Solar, Golden Group Roofing is 100% worthy of your investment. Experience the Golden Group difference, where hands protect what matters most. Visit us at goldengrouproofing.com or call us at 508-873-1884. 508-873-1884.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second hour of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830, WCRN, our affiliate stations, as well as live streaming on the TuneIn app. Just punch in WCRN, take us anywhere, and tell Alexa, play WCRN, and she will do that. We're also live streaming on our Facebook page, the show page, that is, Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. The audio is streaming there. There is a camera in the studio. It's not a produced show. The camera's just in the corner of the studio, but the audio is streaming there, so you can listen that way as well. We are on all the social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. You can also text us in real time. Our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, or email me at textjoeintheradio@gmail.com. All right, so a lot is going to happen in the next few days here because it's just the way it happens in a presidential year. We've got a lot of things going on with the Trump rally coming, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Also being sworn in just a little later today is the incoming congressional class, the freshmen, as you say, although we did have unfortunately, you know, and I don't know how much exposure that got, but an incoming rep passed away from the COVID after he was elected. So there's going to be that open seat, and I'm trying to what was it? His name escapes me. Congressional. Let me tell you who it is. Congressman passed away. Who was it? That was Luke Letlow. That's it. He was Congressman-elect Letlow. from Louisiana. He dies from the COVID-19. He was like low 40s, 41 or 42 years old. Between the time he was elected on the 3rd and just a few days ago, he passed away. So obviously that will be an open seat, but I don't know if Nancy Pelosi actually handled that appropriately. The way she referred to that was not a great thing. Before we get into the rest of what's going on this week, I wanted to point out there, and it is on the show Facebook page. I put the link up there. Canadian stormtroopers rip apart an illegal family gathering after neighbor rats them out to police. That's right. Can it happen here? You think of Canada, right? Right, everything, and they're such polite, nice people up there, but you got Trudeau running stuff up there and some really crazy stuff going on up there. But anyway, our neighbors to the north, and this is taken from Bronson Stocking, wrote about this on Town Hall. So our neighbors to the north have developed a severe case of COVID derangement syndrome, right? The police are now storming into the private homes of people up there to disrupt what they're calling illegal gatherings of more than 6 people. Then we're talking not about restaurants or venues. We're talking about your home, your domain, your castle. And there's some video of it because and if you watch this, go watch it. I mean, there's this little old lady who's yelling at the police to get out and leave them alone, and it's hard to watch. But the video shows police in the city of Gatineau, Quebec, scuffling with the residences, with their inside the home. Now a neighbors, right? Some neighbor ratted them out for illegal assembly to the local authorities. So police apparently had nothing better to do, right? So they go in there, and this just it's just absolutely crazy. Dystopian type of surreal scene. On one side, half of the celebrities that we see on Twitter, right? They're in St. Bart's, in Cabo, in their mansions, on their Instagrams, right? The stories of their lives in their 5-star resorts. And then there's no continuity or logic, and everything is just getting worse because, and this is one of the terms that I've come to despise in the last year is we're all in this together. We're all in this together. But we're all in are we though? Are we in this together? Because some of us are in yachts and others are in dinghies. We live in a world where stormtroopers are raiding people's homes to rip apart families. And idiot leftist loons think conservatives somehow pose a threat to freedom. Right? We see in Los Angeles, the mayor, Eric Garcetti, Democrat Mayor Eric Garcetti, he threatened to shut off water and power to households and businesses that violated his prohibitions on the large gatherings. Oregon Governor Kate Brown, right, another Democrat, she put a ban on private gatherings of more than 6 people and called on residents to rat out any neighbors who didn't bow down to her edict. I mean, this is very Orwellian. It reminds me, isn't there a scene in 1984, or was it Fahrenheit 451? Cam, do you know the one where they get everybody, they tell them on the TV to all open their doors at the same time to try to find somebody that's running from the state? Look, this is no different than what happens if there's a party down. This is the response to it, by the way. Look, there's no difference than what happens if there's a party down the street and it's keeping everyone awake. What do neighbors do? They call law enforcement because it's too noisy. That's what the governor said in an interview. This is just like that. It's like a violation of noise ordinance. And while the Democrats are taking away freedoms, Democrats keep getting caught violating their own coronavirus restrictions, right? That's the part that gets us, people, the hypocrisy on top of it all. And that list keeps growing. Again, do for, thee, not for me. Despite the development and distribution of multiple vaccines, Characters on the left want the lockdowns and restrictions to continue indefinitely. Democratic leaders all across the nation are still pushing lockdowns. Joe Biden says things are going to get much worse before they get better, and he warns the darkest days of the pandemic are still before us. Yeah? And here's the simple truth. Our darkest days in the battle against COVID are ahead of us, not behind us, Biden said on New Year's Eve. He just said that the other night. So we need to prepare ourselves to steel our spines. As frustrating as it is to hear, it's going to take patience, persistence, and determination to beat the virus. Wow. The erosion of our freedoms couldn't happen without the constant threat of a deadly virus looming in the air. Perhaps that is why Biden, a man without a mandate, is planning to hold a national memorial service on the eve of his inauguration to once again dwell on the deaths attributed to the Wuhan coronavirus. What a positive, hopeful note to mark the beginning of his presidency. Biden's inaugural committee on Thursday, right, they just announced their decision to hold a national memorial in the nation's capital and invited towns all across America to join Washington, D.C. in illuminating buildings and ringing church bells at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in a national moment of unity and remembrance. Churches. The Democrats banned worshipers from attending church service throughout 2020, but now the Democrats need more help hyping the coronavirus. Will someone please go and ring the church bells when Biden is inaugurated? So the Day of Remembrance will be held when Biden is expected to be inaugurated on the 19th. It'll be held on the 19th. He's inaugurated on the 20th. All right, so it's on the Joe Mangiacotti Show Facebook page. Go check it out. Go watch the video of how they do this. And we have governors telling us to rat out your neighbors so that they can dispatch a contingent of peace officers to come into your home because you've had more than 6 people in your house. What happens when they tell you that you have to wear your mask inside your house and the police can bust down your door if you're not? 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me go to Joanne, who's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Joanne, and Happy New Year to you, dear.
Oh, good morning, Joe. Happy New Year to you. Let's hope it is a happy one.
Yeah. Any big predictions for 2021, Joanne?
Well, I'm supposed to go next Tuesday night to the Washington, D.C., just I'm debating whether I'm going or not, to go down to Washington, D.C. I mean, the fascists are full swing. I guess they're shutting down the Washington, D.C., so people can't even buy water.
Yeah, well, actually, that's my next topic on conversation is Democratic officials are already lying about the upcoming pro-Trump rally in D.C., so we are going to talk about that. And yes, we've got the order. Well, the hotel there, right? Closing because the Proud Boys or something stays there. But Mayor Muriel Bowser, right? She has ordered hotels, restaurants, grocery store, gas stations, convenience stores to close January 4th, 5th, and 6th to discourage Trump supporters from gathering in D.C.
Do you believe it? Joe, we have had a fascist takeover of this country, the Democrats. And the Democrats have gone full fascist. They are in bed with the foreign enemies. I mean, President Trump has got to stop this takeover now. The president is supposed to stop all foreign and domestic terrorism. Of course, the founding fathers didn't realize that the foreign people would get in bed with the domestic. They weren't.
That's a heck of a point, right? Did the founding fathers ever think? Well, I suppose they thought because they addressed treason And
Yeah,
treason
yeah,
is, in essence, a domestic enemy getting in bed with a foreign enemy. That's how treason comes to be. So I guess they did do that. They handled it with treason, which was punishable by death.
Right.
But could you think for a moment that they envisioned the swampiness of the Beltway today? Do you think they could even envision it?
No, I don't think they did, because it says foreign or domestic. This has been a takeover by foreign and domestic, as we know. But Joe, it gives me a little bit of hope, because yesterday I didn't even know it was Saturday.
I know.
To you and Gary. But I turned on my email today, and just John Solomon's, just the news, and other ones have said that Pence will be open to going along with the elector objectors. Plus, 11 or a dozen senators have now signed on. So, do we have a chance, Joe, to stop this thing before this country? Because you were just saying, while I was waiting for you on the phone, the fascist takeover with this phony baloney lockdown crap. It's just to kill small business and then have us all dutiful.
Yeah.
But you think there is a chance now?
Well, there is. I mean, just yesterday coming out, it was James Crowley on Newsweek wrote about, Ted Cruz, right, is leading a group of GOP senators to object the election certification unless an audit is conducted. And 11 Republican senators and senators-elect, that's a key one there too, led by Senator Ted Cruz, they released a statement yesterday, and they announced that they plan to reject the electors in states where voter fraud has been disputed unless there is a 10-day audit of the election results is conducted.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got Ted Cruz and Ron Johnson, James Langford, Steve Daines, and John Kennedy, all set to, and it goes on. There's Marsha Blackburn, Mike Braun, Cynthia Loomis, Roger Marshall, Bill Hagerty, and Tommy Tuberville are all issued on this.
Maybe you already said him, but Hawley had already said last week, right? Josh Hawley.
Oh, Hawley. Okay, yeah. Is Hawley on that too?
Oh, yes. Well, he came out before the other ones did. But and now this other thing.
Joanne, yeah, there you go. You were getting muffled. You moved your microphone or something.
Oh,
yeah, you better.
Breaking news: Pence embraces election challenge by members of Congress.
Right.
So, because the news, the fraudulent news, was out saying that he would not go along with it, but do we have I think we have a chance now with all the senators signing on with the representatives, and now Pence saying he's.
Well, Joanne, there's two things going on here, right? One is the whole issue of whether this election, Biden was truly elected. If you take out all of the duplicate votes, the illegal votes, and so forth, it absolutely changes the electoral college. It changes the map. And then the other point we have coming here is future elections. We have to rein it back to elections that we believe in and we have confidence in, because if people can be preordained to win an election based on these insiders, this very Orwellian inter-party thing going on, i.e. deep state, then our votes truly don't matter. We've lost all control of our government. We do not have any control of our government anymore. So these are the two things happening. Do I, in my core, in my belief, do I believe Joe Biden won this election fair and square? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I've said this over and over again, folks. I know I sound like a broken record. If you just take it, the 30,000-foot view of this, and you see where he where he won, where he shouldn't have won, where we see the and I always say irregularities, but opposed to voter fraud, but it's voter fraud. When we see the numbers change in front of our eyes, where we stop counting and ballots magically appear and they run through the machine, and it's on video happening. It's not like this is being made up, and we have thousands of affidavits of people who witnessed this fraud and who were told to commit fraud and fired when they refused to. And we have, and now we're being told that, we have Roberts telling members of the Supreme Court not to hear the case because the riots that would come and the pushback that would come. Who said it that, from time to time a little blood must be spilt to seed democracy and freedom? So it's just, again, people are being bullied into behaving the way certain people want you to behave. And two things. Again, I honestly believe President Trump won, not because I'm supporting President Trump, because it just clearly is. You can't tell me that Joe Biden got more votes than Barack Obama or any other Democratic president in the history of our elections. And if we don't fix this, we can't trust any election going forward. And what happens on Tuesday is going to be very interesting, right? They doubled the number of Republican poll watchers from 4 to like 8,000. And they're pushing, but in these recounts, Joanne, if you recount the same fraudulent ballots, you're not going to get a change in the election.
Of course.
That's why they're saying we got to have an audit, a real audit, and we've got to get rid of, and the court has to step in and say, no, the ballots that were these states where the Secretary of State changed the election law that wasn't allowed, right? You can't recognize that because it wasn't legal. Fruit of the tree. Right. Fruit of the tree, folks. It's very simple law. They don't count, right? Those have to be thrown out. If they were postmarked after, the ones that the postmark were changed, the ones that were run through, if you can't attach the signature to the mass mail-in ballot, it should be thrown out. Then we had the issues of the signature verification. The sensitivity turned so low down, and some people might not understand what the heck I'm saying, but we have a computer system that reads these signatures, and they're supposed to be basing them on other signatures, and the computer can do it faster than humans can do it. But if the sensitivity is turned down, I've said it before, Teddy's paw print would pass as my signature, it was turned down so low. They weren't trained. They weren't instructed on how to set these machines. And the fact that these machines have internet connection doesn't make any sense to me, Joanne. Why does that machine need to be connected to the internet? And much less, why is anyone accessing? And the forensic audit will show that they got accessed. That's the thing about computers, right? There's a digital footprint for everything, Joanne.
Well, I would hope so. I don't know too much about computers, but yeah, the Dominion voting machines need to be eliminated, and they need to banish entirely mail-in ballots, not legitimate requests for out of the country. What do you call them?
Absentee.
That they've always had. Right. Those have to be strictly adhered to. You get rid of all those mail-in ballots, and Joe Biden didn't even get a tenth of what he got. So that needs to be done, and so I'm hoping that they will, because we have been taking. Joe, it's all of one piece. These phony COVID fascistic lockdowns, they're all to turn us into some third world country. I mean, we have been taken over by enemies, foreign and domestic, working in collusion. And so it needs to be stopped next Wednesday. And I'm hopeful, by any means. I mean, if he wants to do the Insurrection Act, do it. But
that's been suggested by some that in a very limited way that he does that. I had a gentleman on there from the Ohio Tea Party. He was talking about that. Do you remember that? And this is, and I hate to ever think that we have to get to that point in our country, but we are really at a tipping point
we are.
At this point. And the thing about it is I know they like to throw out Proud Boy and some other organization. I don't remember the name of it. But the point is they try to make it like the right, right? The conservatives
Oh,
are
of
all
course.
bad. Not, and I'm not talking about the nut jobs and what they call the far right, but if we look at the Tea Party type people, I mean, they're not responsible for burning down buildings or looting stores. And I remember back when the Tea Party movement first started, and I went to some of those gatherings, and they always, whenever they left a place, you know what? Not only was it not trashed, it was usually picked up and in better condition than when they got there. And we're not the ones that go out there and say, vote the way we want you to vote, or else. And that's what Antifa says to us: vote and behave the way we want you to behave, or else. And if you don't, we're going to just keep doing this until you do it our way. And then now you got members, elected officials, as well as members of the court who are saying, yeah, we don't want to do, we're not going to rock the boat because we don't want the riots and we don't want to be targeted ourselves.
Right. So in other words, the Democrats' brown shirts, their fascistic Antifa and BLM and just the general all-around vermin that live in these Democrat cities, they're rioting, burning, looting, killing, maiming. These are the bad people, not the right. And so what is? So I assume that these stores and everything are open if you're a card-carrying member of Antifa, right?
Well, I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna cover, because there is a story I wanted to get to that is out of Red State. Jeff Charles tackles this, and I'm going to start to cover this now. So you may want to listen to it. Do you have any resolutions for 2021, Joanne?
Not really. No. I just want this to be over and everything corrected. I'll just continue to, do my stand-up rallies, stop the steal, if it doesn't correct itself. And I'm debating on whether, like I said, going down there, it's such a long drive and everything, and the violence might get out of hand. So I'm really debating on whether I should go. But other than that, no, I don't have any specific things like.
So you're thinking of going down though this week?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've already signed
just
up.
you or a group of you? How is that going to work?
A group.
Okay.
No, a group. Yeah, the same group that I've been doing standouts with. So if I do go down, I'll have some good stories for you.
Well, you can call in and be our Johnny on the spot reporter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you're not on Tuesday. We'll go down Tuesday night, and then we're there for Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we leave Wednesday.
But I am on Political Thursday with Jerry Doherty at 11. So you could give us a report for that show.
All right. If I make it back alive, I'll certainly give you.
Now let me ask you this, and I'm being earnest. What are your feelings on that? Your safety? Do you have fear of your safety going to D.C.?
Yeah. Yes, I really, really do. Because of course, as I said, the Democrats, fascist, brown shirt, Antifa, BLM. We saw how they attacked the people that have gone down to. We're going to take precautions. We're not going to, But I mean, how do you take precautions of an unknown thing? The other thing is, I expect a massive crowd. So, in a massive crowd like that,
a lot can happen, Joanne. So you need to stick together as a group. We're against the clock here, but be very careful if you go. You've got the email and the phone number to the show. Keep me posted. Let me know if you're going to go down. You can call that number anytime. I put it out there all the time, 508-603-9778. And let me know if you do go down, even though I'm not on till Thursday. Keep me
paid
posted.
for my seat, so I guess I'm going. But
who paid?
Yeah, but okay, I will keep you posted.
All right, Joanne, I got against the clock. Thank you, dear, and Happy New Year to you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break here. It's time now for Case Files from the LPDAM here on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Stick with us.
Good morning and welcome to Case Files from the LPDAM, where we take a look at actual cases, the law and lessons, and the findings, and where we share the experiences of the experts of the Private Detectives Association of Massachusetts. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and joining me this week is Sean Burke, president of the LPDAM and resident manager of Courtside Legal Investigation. Good morning, Sean. Merry Christmas. I hope everything is fantastic with the family, and Santa was good to you all.
Well, good morning, first and foremost. And yes, all the kids enjoyed their stockings and presents. It was a great Christmas, even during a tough time.
Well, that's fantastic. I was on the LPDAM website, and there really is something for everyone. There's an investigator for everyone. It's really, really fantastic.
Joe, there is an investigator for everyone at LPDM. We are the leading professionals of the private investigative industry. LPDM.org offers access to hundreds of licensed Massachusetts private investigators. These private investigators can get you the answers you need to make the most educated decisions in life, as well as in the courtroom. LPDM members are here to help.
And now that holidays are passing us by, what are some of the most prevalent requests for private investigator services heading into the new year?
Joe, surveillance is always big at this time of the year and into the new year. Just talking to members like Rob Desario of Desario Investigations of Norway, Keith Walker of Discovery Services of Springfield, and Lisa Fitzgerald of LMF Investigations of Ashburnham, they all are busy with surveillance-type services. At LPDM.org, our members are experienced and can get your work done in a cost-effective manner. More importantly, their work stands up in court.
I always like to think it's important that the work performed by LPDAM members can stand up in court.
Joe, LPDM members value their customers and understand the importance of providing quality results that a judge expects from a professional investigator. There is a value received when using an LPDM member. It's that simple. Whether it's a surveillance, an employment verification, or a missing persons case, LPDM has an investigator for you. We love what we do. Remember, you're in good hands with LPDM.
Well, you certainly are. Sean, thanks for stopping by again, and enjoy this holiday season.
You too, Joe.
And thank you for joining us for Case Files from the LPDAM. Join us here each week on WCRN 8:30 a.m. and online anytime at lpdamcasefiles.com, and visit us at lpdam.org. You can find LPDAM on Facebook and Twitter at PIN Mass, and anytime at 800-955-6274. For Sean Burke, I'm Joe Mangiacotti.
To join the conversation, call 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Now, here's your host, Joe Mangiacotti.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the second hour, the final segment of the Joe Mangiacotti Show, Sunday edition, January 3rd, 2021. You're going to get used to that. We don't really write checks anymore, Cam, do we? Do you still write checks at all, or everything online?
No, not really.
Right, yeah, but it used to be it took you a month or so to get used to writing the new date in the new year, but still on documents and stuff, you might forget that, so I've been practicing that 21. But here we are, third day in, and I think noon, right, the new House gets sworn in, so that's happening. And this will be a very interesting week, and that's something that I told Joanne I did want to talk about. Jeff Charles talks about this, about the Democrats officials. They're already lying about the upcoming Trump rally in D.C. So, again, this is from Jeff Charles. Less than a few days here before the results of the presidential election are to be certified, officials in D.C. are fear-mongering about the pro-Trump rally, and that's scheduled for the same day in the nation's capital. That's what Joanne and I were just talking about. These individuals claim that the event is being backed by extremes and extremists, despite knowing that the rally will feature well-known conservative activists and lawmakers from across the country. Now, the rally's websites that the event will have a wide array of right-leaning speakers, including Kimberly Fletcher. She's the founder of Moms for America. Yeah, you know how radical she is. School safety activist Andrew Pawlik, right? Jenny Beth Martin from Tea Party Patriots and others. Now, according to Breitbart News, reported that several lawmakers will also participate in the event, including Reps Lance Gooden, he's a Republican from Texas, Paul Gosar from Arizona, Rep-elect Lauren Boebert from Colorado, and Marjorie Greene from Georgia. And state reps Vernon Jones, and he's been getting a lot. I think he's an up and coming, right? You know who I'm talking about? Representative Vernon Jones. He's taking a lot of guff, right? Because he's a black conservative. Mark Finchman, Republican from Arizona. Doug Mastriano from Pennsylvania, and Anthony Kern, also from Arizona. But apparently, District of Columbia Attorney General Carl Racine wants us to believe that these individuals are violent right-wing extremists. See, during an interview on CBS, the Takeout podcast, right, during that interview, he told journalist Major Garrett that he is supposedly concerned about, quote, far-right agitators showing up at the rally. He says that, quote, my level of anxiety is high. My preparation is even more intense than that. He stated that he is concerned that members of the Proud Boys will attend the event to pick fights, create damage property, and then act in a very threatening way. Who have we seen pick fights, create damage property, and act in threatening ways? And set fires, and beat people, and shoot people. But anyway, he says that he's concerned about them acting in a very threatening way towards historic black institutions like they did when they defaced a black church in mid-December. He says that Trump really has given a breath of fresh air and encouragement to hate groups. Hate is up dramatically since the president came into office. That's according to Racine. Now, a popular hotel and bar in the area that has become popular gathering place for conservatives and members of the Proud Boys announced that it would be closing down this week after being pressured to do so by the left. Hotel Harrington will be closed on the 4th, 5th, and 6th and will not be accommodating guests with the exception of longtime residents who call the hotel their home. That's from their statement. Will Somner posted, D.C.'s Hotel Harrington, a popular spot for Proud Boys, says it will be closed January 6th, the same day as the last-ditch mega rally to stop Congress from counting electoral votes. Angry Trump supporters who lost room reservations are fuming on the Donald. Now, The Hill reported that the district's government applied pressure on the hotel to get it to close. And D.C. Mayor, again, we're back to Muriel Bowser, said that the city government urged the bar to close early on December 11th to 12th due to the protests. They wrote several social justice organizations have called on their members to call the bar to request to condemn the Proud Boys and close during pro-Trump demonstrations, according to the Washington Post. It's not hard to see what's going on here, is it? The Democrat officials are propagandizing and pretending that the Proud Boys are the real threat, while completely ignoring radical leftist groups aligned with Antifa movement. Anytime a major conservative rally is held, these people creep out of their mother's basements and show up to physically assault the participants. You never see the Proud Boys or other right-leaning groups attending left-wing demonstrations to pick fights, do you? Unquote. This is from Jeff's article at Red State. The Democrats are trying to distract, and they're trying to do it ahead of time to give the activist media more room to work with. In a sense, they are priming their audience to believe that it has the right, or that it is the right who is willing and initiating violence. To be fair, some members of the Proud Boys have engaged in thuggish behavior at various events, but the notion that they are anywhere in the same league as Antifa is absurd on its face. The fact of the matter is that without Antifa's thugs trying to impose their will through political violence, members of the Proud Boys probably wouldn't even show up at many of these events. So again, that's from Red State, and that is Jeff Charles' take on that. So what is going to happen? I mean, some of this might have been useful if these Democratic mayors and governors asked some of these hotels not to accommodate Antifa in the violent arm of the BLM movement. And again, when we talk about, unfortunately, you have BLM being used by both the movement and the organization, the official organization. And unfortunately, when you use the term BLM or Black Lives Matter, they get grouped in, that the bad actors get grouped in with the movement. The movement's a good thing. The behavior of the organization is not very nice. So you got to be careful about that. When we talk about that, we're talking about the bad actors when it comes to that. So Democrat officials, they're lying about this upcoming pro-Trump rally, and I think, and that's why I told Joanne, be careful. Stay in a group. Watch your back. I don't like to see anybody get hurt on this, but there are going to be people from both sides that are there, and they're going to look for trouble. And there are very good number of the bad actors on the left that are going to want a pro-Trump rally to go sideways so that they can point their finger and say, see, look at this. This is the way they are, because freedom of speech, peaceful protesting, that's their thing. If you want to gather in March and hold signs and protest for your thing that they don't agree with, that can't be allowed. That has to be suppressed and shut down. I think back to when Trump became candidate Trump 5 years ago. And I heard from, within my own family, from my leftist snowflake sister, oh, he's got to be silenced. We've got to shut him down. And my question is, why? What do you mean shut him down? He's got to be silenced. Why can't he talk? Because I don't like him. Because I don't like him and I don't like what he has to say. Wow. I come back to this. If you are confident in your position and you believe in what you're saying, you welcome debate. You welcome the conversation. Because one of two things are going to happen. The other side will see your point, or you'll see their point. You might come to an agreement to disagree, but at no point should your option be to silence the other side because you don't like what they have to say. And we've seen this happen on college campuses. Look what happens when a Candace Owens or a Ben Shapiro and many others are invited to speak at a college. Either the brainwashed masses of the leftist pods go in such upstart and upray or cause so much turmoil that they cancel it, or when they do come, they're actually in physical threat of harm. And they're going to have incredible security. And what they're telling you is we can't allow anybody who doesn't think like we do or say what we say to even be heard. What are you fearing? Why, if they're so wrong or so stupid or so far out of it that you feel that, why are you afraid to let them speak? Won't it be obvious? If you're so right, wouldn't you welcome the opportunity to show them that you're right? Wouldn't you welcome the opportunity to embarrass them even? Let's appeal to that aspect of your ego. Wouldn't you want that ability to embarrass them and prove how dangerous they are, how stupid they are, how ill-prepared they are? Isn't that what you would want? So I don't get this instant need to shut you down. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. We have about 15 minutes left of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. I wanted to point something out. Ted Wheeler, all right? Now, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler has been a snowflake out there, right? But he acknowledges the violence of Antifa. That's good. Nick Arama wrote about this. Shockingly, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler finally acknowledged that it was time to get tough on Antifa. Finally mentioning them by name, by the way. Finally. The Washington Examiner posted, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, my good faith efforts at de-escalation have been met with ongoing violence and even scorn from radical Antifa and anarchists. It's time to push back harder against those who are set on destroying our community. This is Ted Wheeler. He went on to say, my good faith efforts at de-escalation have been met with ongoing violence and even scorn from radical Antifa anarchists. It's time to push back harder against those who are set on destroying our community. Oh my gosh, scorn. The horror. They've been in virtually constant riot since May and mocking him constantly. But even before that, they've been violent and rioting for the past 4 years. They've killed and attacked people. They even went to Wheeler's condo and smashed the windows and lit a business in the bottom floor of the building on fire. Remember how before the election Antifa was just an idea to the Democrats? And how it was all President Donald Trump's fault that masked people in black? No, not Antifa. They were attacking federal courthouses. Remember how liberal folks even tried to suggest that the masked folks in black were even secretly right-wing people? But once the federal agents in the federal courthouses were no longer the focus of Antifa, the media began to ignore the story since they couldn't attack the president over it anymore. Hey, but the riots continued, showing how wrong the media and the left were again. But the question is, why is the reason Wheeler finally lost it after all his time was Antifa's rioting on New Year's Eve? Antifa rampaged through the city, destroying and ransacking all kinds of small businesses and setting things on fire. Did you even see that? Go check out a lot of if you don't follow him, Angie Nogue, he's the LGBTQ Asian reporter, right? They beat him and put him in the hospital. Antifa, remember that? They didn't like his reporting. He was being a good reporter and telling the truth, and that couldn't be allowed. Go follow him. Check some of his New Year's Eve posts out. Antifa ransacked, destroying another Starbucks during the Portland riot. Antifa Black Bloc dance in downtown Portland as their comrades throw explosives and start fires outside the courthouse. So finally, enough is enough for Wheeler. He's finally agreed and given up to the fact that they're out of control. Police officers were vastly outnumbered, attacked, literally pushed, even chased down the street by Antifa because they have been effectively neutered by Wheeler and the liberal courts from any effective response. So you got to remember all this is going on, right? We've got this ridiculous bails being suspended, no bail, just letting them out. We've got members of Biden's and Kamala Harris's campaigns were raising money for bail. We've got DAs saying they're not going to prosecute anymore, and in some communities they're removing the charge of resisting arrest. Think about that. Think about how asinine that is. That is no longer a charge. One of the reasons that people don't fight the police and don't resist arrest is because it's a serious charge. And if you can't be charged with that anymore, it's not a charge. Why would you not resist? you can't be in any more trouble for taking a swing at a police officer or running from them. I mean, how low does your IQ have to be not to understand that? Can you not put that together? Now, they've apparently tried to break into the Justice Center where the police were, shooting rockets and throwing Molotov cocktails at the building. Multnomah County Sheriff Mike Reese, he spoke out about the New Year's Eve riot in downtown Portland where Antifa ransacked and looted businesses, started fires, assaulted responding law enforcement, and tried to break into the Justice Center. You can find that clip on my Facebook page. Wheelers finally acknowledged their violence, but it's not like any of this is new. But he's still not doing anything to respond to them, other than talk. That's how we've gotten to this crazy point after 4 years, with them getting more and more violent, now even killing people. They don't feel there's any reason to stop because no one is really trying to stop them. Leftist Democrats like Wheeler are completely responsible for this mess, but unless and until the citizens vote these characters out, you're never going to get a real response to control this. And that's true. We've seen a motion or movement right in California to recall Governor Newsom. Wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger recalled? Wasn't he recalled as governor? Right? They've done it before. So it can happen. Before we run out of time, there's something else I wanted to get out there because Joe Biden, he says he's going to issue executive orders stopping any Trump midnight regulations. It's going to be one of the first things he does, he says. He will issue an executive order on the on the day he takes office, canceling any of Trump's executive orders. Now, usually they wait a little while when they get into office to do that. And the other thing is, because we only have a few minutes left on this that I wanted to touch on, is the efforts are underway to defeat Pelosi. Right? Quiet effort underway to forge a coalition to defeat Pelosi. Thank goodness. Mark Tapscott writes about this. Closely guarded talks are taking place seeking a coalition for the 117th Congress to oust Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. He says that meetings are being held among House Republicans and 10 Democrats who voted against Pelosi becoming Speaker back in 2019. Interesting, huh? A serious effort is underway to prevent Pelosi from becoming Speaker, backed by the GOP and Democrats who are disturbed by their party's embrace of extreme rhetoric and policies like defund the police. This was reported to a veteran reporter by a senior congressional aide who had advised multiple members of Congress. The odds of success are less than 50-50, but it's one of the more intriguing leadership challenges to emerge in recent decades. Now, the aide's speaking on condition of autonomy, of course, and the aide declined to provide details of who from either party is participating in the negotiations, because doing so would likely make it impossible for the talks to continue. Right? They've got to have basically an underground within the congressional delegation, the congressional legislature, to oust her. And meanwhile, a spokesman for Pelosi and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy didn't respond to requests for comment. But Pelosi earlier this week told reporters that she believes she has the leadership, quote, wrapped up. The speakership likely will be decided when the 117th Congress officially convenes later today. That's just a few hours away. Pelosi's hold on the speakership, she became the first woman speaker in 2007 and remains the only woman ever to hold the powerful position she regained in 2019. Now, she could be jeopardized if the furtive talks succeed because of the unexpected Republican gains in November. Remember, she's weakened by the loss of the seats. She lost a lot of seats. And in 2020 it happens, and it typically happens. The House will go Republican in 2020 midterm election. So Republicans gained a lot of seats in this November election, and 10 Democrats who previously opposed her being reelected. They all kept their seats, by the way. Pelosi and other Democrats expected to gain 10 to 25 seats to add to the majority they won in 18. But when the votes were counted, it was the Republicans who gained at least 10 seats. They also lead in the 2 remaining disputed races that are up there. And we also have, remember, Congressman-elect Letlow, his seat's now vacant, and there has to be a special election for that. And that he was a Republican. That seat could stay Republican, or they could flip back to Democrats. And the 10 Democrats include Reps Abigail Spangerber of Virginia, Elisa Stokeland of Michigan, Mickey Sherrill of New Jersey, Kurt Schrader of Oregon, Kathleen Rice of New York, Connor Lamb of Pennsylvania, Ron Kind of Wisconsin, Jared Golden of Maine, Jason Crow of Colorado, and Jim Cooper of Tennessee. See, if all 432 House members who have uncontested elections from November show up physically, as they are required to do by the Constitution, don't forget, when it comes to the speakership, they can't do it by proxy. They have to actually be in person. That's the rule there. Pelosi would have to gain at least 216 votes to retain the speakership. And the House currently has 434 members because of Rep. Luke Letlow's passing. He passed away on the 29th. But nearly 24 House Democrats have stayed out of the nation's capital for most or all of the past 6 months because of the Wuhan virus that causes the COVID-19 disease. Now, one of them is Rick Larson. He's the Democrat from Washington. He announced on December 23rd that he tested positive for the virus and would therefore begin voting by proxy. But proxy voting isn't allowed in the speakership vote on the House floor. They have to be there in person. So if other Democrats who have voted by proxy out of concern for the virus, the quorum required for that vote could even be lower. So if the number reached 214, a coalition would only have to gain votes from 4 of the 10 Democrats and all 211 Republicans to defeat Pelosi. So that's possible. That's very doable, right? A senior House Republican aide who asked not to be identified told reporters that it's no surprise that Democrats want to run away from Speaker Pelosi's failed leadership, from her baseless impeachment to her needless delay of coronavirus aid. It's clear she should not be Speaker of the House. Exactly. She absolutely screwed the pooch on the impeachment. I really think she went forward on that without knowing the whole story. And like the president said, when she found out what was there, she's like, "Are you kidding me? You got me into this?" And then she admits that she delayed the coronavirus aid just because she didn't want Trump to get a win. So Democratic campaign strategists were unusually quiet about the prospect of a coalition potentially being formed against Pelosi, but a number of Republican strategists, however, had no hesitation at all in speaking, but their views were far from unanimous. But this is running our time out for the Sunday edition, folks, so I'm going to have to let you go for the rest of the day. Peter Blue coming up at 9 o'clock, Jerry Doherty at 9:30. I'll be back for a Political Thursday at 11 o'clock to 12 noon for Making Money Last. Enjoy your week. Keep a close eye on what happens in D.C. later today and in the next few days, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and we'll see you on the radio.
WACE Chicopee and WCRN Worcester.
We've all needed to hire professionals, but just didn't know who to trust. Word of mouth, website reviews. How do you know who to hire? Welcome to WCRN's Best in Business list. Simply visit WCRNradio.com and hit the big red button. There you'll find caring, trusted, and certified professionals ready to help you, complete with phone number and a link to their website. Finding the right certified professionals ready to help you has never been easier. WCRN's Best in Business list, the best way to find the certified professionals you can count on when you need them most. Find reliable local professionals like Drew Mortgage Associates. Let Douglas Rowan and his staff of professionals help you finance the home of your dreams. Sandy at Taz Cleaning. Let Sandy help you make your world shine. And Girton Graphics and Awards. John and his team can help you design the perfect item or award for every occasion. See the complete Best in Business list at WCRNradio.com. From your full-service radio, AM 830 WCRN. You just may have the best podcast anywhere.